Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to try to go over some tips that you haven't heard yet. I dug deep and I dug hard, looking for some stuff that I haven't heard 20 times already. So hopefully you learn some new stuff in this set of things I wish I knew sooner. And yes, there's a giant hole in my house. I'm very well aware. I just accidentally threw a grenade at it while I was getting ready to start this video. So that gives me something to fix later. All right, the very first tip that we're going to go over here is the fact that you've probably had to go grab resin for one reason or another, and you chop down a tree and maybe quite a few trees just to get a very little resin. Well, that's because resin predominantly comes from the trees with brown leaves. So pull out your axe and chop down a tree with brown leaves. And there we go. Look at it. It's raining resin. We just got 4 resin from one tree. Now, if we go over here, there's 2 more trees that always have brown leaves. We'll chomp these down just for example. There's some more resin. There's more. Oh, look at that. We got 6 resin from that tree. Okay, so if you've been chopping down trees and not getting very much resin, it's because the green ones have a small chance to give resin, where the brown ones have a huge chance to give a huge amount of resin. So make sure to target those brown trees when looking for resin. All right, this next one has to do with lockpicks. And yes, you can craft lockpicks on your own anytime you need them, right? 2 pieces of scrap every time you want to make a lockpick. Pretty simple, except for the fact that if you talk to the blacksmith and make your lockpick, he'll make it for half the price, only 1 scrap, which is insanely useful early in the game when you don't have a lot of metal scraps lying around. Heck, it's always useful because, you know, metal scrap's pretty useful itself. So whenever you need those lockpicks, make sure to come visit your blacksmith. He'll love you for it. All right, this next tip is there's treasure buried underground all the time, all over the place. And one of the most obvious tips that it's buried there is you'll see a pile that looks exactly like this. All over the game, they use this exact same pile to denote when a treasure is buried underground right there. So if we dig right here, let's see. Aha, there it is, a treasure. These are located all over the place, and they very often use that same exact pile. So once you know what to look for, you'll find way more of those buried treasures. Another thing that I've seen quite a few times is you'll see an area like this one where you've got these mobs here, these little plants in a circle around like nothing basically. And in the middle, there's oftentimes a chest buried there. Another hint that you'll see a lot of times. Okay, now let's make our way to the next. Oh my. Next tip. Don't fly into trees. Another quick tip while I run to the next one is roads will often take you to important places, obviously, but they also give you a buff. In the top left, you can see it there. It says on the road. And if we go into our character menu, we can see it says on the road. Roads provide comfortable travel and reduce the stamina needed for sprinting. So sprint farther, longer, without using all your stamina if you stick to roads. Dirt roads save some stamina. Stone roads save even more. Next tip. In order to make the better health potions, you're going to need chamomile, and you can find it right here, just northwest of the Revelwood fast travel. You can then use the few that you grab there to farm unlimited back at home. Next tip. When it comes to getting up surfaces you can't climb, just go ahead and pull out your axe and make steps for yourself so that you can get up anything. Next tip, you're going to get your hunter. And as you probably know, she's going to give you your small bag. And that small bag is going to increase your capacity by 8 items. But you can also get a medium bag from her shortly thereafter. All you have to do is make sure that you have progressed her far enough and get some linen. That's going to be the thing you've never found before or created before, most likely. In order to do that, you just slap down your hand spindle and then you throw some flax in there. You'll get the spindle as part of the hunter's quest, but the option to craft the medium bag won't show up until you find the flax seed. You're going to need a lot of flax, so I highly recommend using your seed bed to plant flax to get 10 at a time. You get 10 seedlings and then you just plant them next to your house and boom, you've got yourself 10 flax and therefore 5 more linen. Just rinse and repeat that process. The only other thing you need is water for your seed bed. And the cool thing about water is that it does drop off of enemies and that it does drop out of containers, but also right next to your house, you have a well in this abandoned town right here. And you can use that to get a ton of water. And look at that come in. Lots of water just from interacting with it once. Now, you can come back to this well every 2 hours or every time you reboot the game. Every zone resets. So in order to get the well to reset, you're probably going to have to reboot the game because it's rather close to your house. So it counts as being in like the same chunk. And the way the game works, this is another quick tip, is the game will reset an area. All the chests and all the loot and all the mobs and stuff inside of it will be reset if you don't visit it for 2 hours. Now, if you go back there, you're going to reset the timer and it's going to have to start all over. So if you don't go to an area for 2 hours, you can go back and get more loot from the same chests and the same mobs again. Alternatively, you can just restart the game. You can close it, open it, and go back to that same area and all those chests will respawn. So if you don't want mobs to be in a certain area, make sure you go back before the 2 hour time limit is up. Next up, if you decide to host a game, make sure that you put a password on it. Otherwise, anybody could join. And when they join, they can come wreak havoc on your game. They can complete quests for you, or they can just walk into your base and grab all your materials and leave the game. So password protect that baby. Next up, let's talk about the Shroud Survival Flask. If you haven't died because you misunderstood the way this works, then you haven't lived. The way this works is it adds 2 minutes to your timer while you're in the Shroud. However, it only works if you apply it before you walk into the Shroud. So if you've been walking around with these thinking that, oh man, in a pinch, I'll pop it to get 2 extra minutes. No, that doesn't work. You're gonna die a slow, horrible, agonizing death, just like I did. So because of the planning ahead that's required to actually use these things, it almost certainly ensures that I'll never use one correctly. If you're enjoying this video, or if you've heard a tip that you didn't already know, be sure to like and subscribe for more Enshrouded content. Also, if you have a tip that you didn't hear me say, be sure to leave it down in the comments below. Quick tip, just in case you didn't know, NPCs should be placed in your base. They're not happy outside, and their quest lines won't progress if you leave them outside. I talked about this one in my complete beginner guide, but I just want to mention it just in case you don't know. When you craft, the crafters will pull from your magic chest so you can store items in there, and you can press Shift R to throw any items from your inventory into your chest. If there's a stack of that item already in there, it'll automatically add it to the stack. Real easy way to come to base, empty your inventory, and go back out in 10 seconds. Next tip, if you've ever noticed that there's areas with blue shroud and some areas with red shroud, that's because the red shroud will kill you if you step into it for more than 1 second. Blue shroud is safe, red shroud is not. In order to turn the red shroud into blue shroud, you just come to your shrine, you strengthen it, and you upgrade it. Here it says shroud passage level. This will increase the shroud level that you're able to traverse, thereby turning some of the red shroud blue. Next tip, every time you kill a shroud root inside of an elixir well, you get a skill point. So kill every single one that you see. It's a lot of very easy skill points. Sometimes they're not even protected. Next tip, the game tells you which ones are farms so that you can go there and farm seeds and flags and plants and all sorts of stuff. If you head to one of the farms, you're much more likely to get the plants that you're looking for. If you're looking for some mid-game plants, Dadewind, right here, southwest of the Revelwood fast travel, has a host of different flowers that you can pick inside of its seed beds. And yes, my character looks ridiculous. When the game said I could craft copper heavy armor, I thought I'd look like Iron Man. Instead, I ended up looking like the Iron Man you get off of wish.com. Okay, the next tip has to do with your settings. In the settings, there's a couple of really cool things that you can do. One of which is you can change how far the camera is from your character. So if the camera feels a little bit close to your character, go ahead and move this all the way to the right so that you can get a little more distance and see a little bit more of your screen. This also works really well with the field of view setting right here. Max that out too, and that'll really help you see more while you're playing the game. Whether you're looking for a treasure, a door, whatever, you know, when you can see more while you're playing, it makes things a lot easier. The next thing I want to touch on real quick is that you can change item deletion protection. You can change it from epic and above, and you can knock that down to rare and above, and even below that. So if you've accidentally deleted something that you didn't want to, or you're worried that you might do that, you can come in here and protect various items. And by turning this on, when you go to salvage an item, it'll ask if you're sure anytime you try to delete something. You'll get this menu right here. And you can also say stop asking until I open my inventory next time, in case you want to do a lot of deleting of items in your inventory all at once. Next tip is when you attack an enemy, it'll tell you if the damage type you're using is effective or ineffective. So if the damage type is ineffective, you should definitely try using a different weapon to take that enemy down faster. So the wand there was neutral. It was neither effective or ineffective. So now let's try the mace. And that one said effective. So assuming your mace wasn't absolutely horrible, that's the one you'd want to be using in that fight. Next tip is whenever you find these red notes, it's going to add a destination on your map. New location charted, 1 marker added. And so then when you open up your map, there it is. Love letter to Queen Jasmina. So always peek at your map after you touch those things. All right, guys, I hope that this rapid fire tip session has been useful to you. I hope I had some in here that you didn't already know. I really did try to scrounge up some new ones for you guys. If you have any tips that I didn't mention here, leave it in the comments down below. A lot of times that's where I get my best tips for these videos, is straight from you guys. So check out the comments down below that other people's leave. Leave a penny, take a penny type of situation. And thanks so much to Corsair for being an amazing partner. If you're looking for new PC peripherals, Corsair has some fantastic headphones, mice, keyboard. Check out the link in the description below for new and amazing products from Corsair. Thanks so much for watching. Massive shout out to my YouTube channel members for supporting the channel in the way you do. If you want to become a member of my YouTube channel, click the join button below for special perks like behind the scenes footage, a private Discord channel, and more. Shout out to the newest member, Anna Marie. Thank you for joining. If you're not sure what to watch next, maybe check out my Enshrouded beginner guide on screen right now, or one of the other ones. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video.